I was born at a village called Manupur. It's in the state of Punjab. It's Punjab, it's the northern part of India, right there, about 100 miles from Kashmir. My dad, he never went to school, but I don't know where he learned to read a book, religious book. It's called Gita. That's the guy that, every night I pray to God, and then I thank my dad and my mom helping me to become who I became. But he was a very disciplinarian. He taught me all the multiplication tables. I don't know where he learned it because he could not read or write. I lived in a town where it's a farmer's town, and they have crops, wheat and this and this, and they will take him to the town so that the people in the town don't zip him. He could figure it out in his head, how much they should pay you and what's a better way, and he could also tell which place to go. But I don't know where he got all that knowledge in his head, but people came to him for help. He says, whatever you start, you finish it, and depend on yourself. That philosophy he got in my head when I was 5th grade or 6th grade, and I learned everything. Whatever I am, it's because of him. My mom taught me something about patience. So they had a good team. After 4th grade, if you want to pursue, and everybody likes to pursue it, you walk through the crops 5 miles. 5 or 6 miles, and go to town on 5th grade. And that's a rude awakening. All of a sudden, you have, and all the kids from town, and they have a nice clothes and all that kind of stuff. I remember the first test I took. I did not know what I was supposed to do. There was some exam going on, and I couldn't put anything on a piece of paper. So I had a 0, the first 0 in my lifetime. And there were about 2,000 students over there in the big school right there, So I went to another school. There was another school, the people with turbans and everything like that, and they accepted us, and that's where I graduated in high school in 1956. And then at the college, the local college, 2 years I went over there, but they did not have any science courses thereafter. So I went to 60 miles away where my brother was. I graduated in taken physics and chemistry and mathematics, got my degree. I was the first one to go to college, and as a matter of fact, my older brother was more smarter than me, but we did not have means, that kind of stuff. So I got the opportunity to go to college the first time. It's kind of irony. The same school that would not take me back, they invited me to teach over there. So I became a teacher, science teacher of 11th or 12th grade. I wanted to go to engineering school, but I did not know how to get admission. I had an uncle who had a pretty good business in Bombay. He said, "You're going to America." That's what he said. And I said, "Well, how are we going to do it? We don't have the money." He said, "That's not your problem. We take care of it." And they took care of it. I did all of research. Then I got accepted in California State Polytechnic School over there in San Luis Obispo in California. So in 61, I sailed and First time I saw the airport, and first time I saw the plane. First time I flew in it. The flight just continued, from Rome and this to New York, and then New York. Then I needed to go to San Francisco. That's where one of my cousin was. So I flew there. Somebody told me, go there, get the ticket. I was able to do it. But I have never slept in a motel before. So I'm sitting in the window on the second floor, and I had no idea that I'm going to sleep over here. But I sat over there in the chair or whatever it was. In the morning, I got up, and I had a cousin over there, and so I called. It was a Saturday morning, I remember, and I did not know this guy. All I know that when I landed in San Francisco, go to him, he'll help you. So I called him. He said, oh, what are you doing calling me 7 o'clock in the morning, that kind of stuff. I did not argue with him. So he said, well, just stay there, I'll come get you. I stayed there for 2-3 days, and after that he got in the car. He drove me to San Luis Obispo, which is about 250 miles from San Francisco. And so I went to the registrar's office, and there comes 3 Indian students of same age as I am, and he said, and they were helpful, So he came, where are you staying? I said, I'm staying over there. He said, let's go get your stuff. So he drove over there and got my stuff, and then they already have a house, and so they became my best friend for life. And I stayed with them. I went to school with them. They were of same school. So that was the beginning, and I went there for 4 years, and I got a mechanical engineering degree. And then my roommate graduated a year before, and he has a house and everything like that, and so I went there and stayed with him, and looking for a job and this and this. And that's where I met my wife. She was from Oklahoma. Then I ended up marrying her. We were married for 55 years. That's the only girl that I dated and married. And she helped me to get all my family over here. And I did not know, but all I knew is, I made my parents mad because this was their job to get me a wife. Then she made a plan. She said, you got 4 brothers, and you have a younger brother who got a master's degree in teaching in college. You have to get him, the younger brother, here first. So I got him over here, and he was married and had 1 son. And then I had another brother who was in Army. So I got them over here in 1972. There are right now about 50 of them. And they're all in California. After I got out of college, went to work in San Diego. There's a company called Road Corporation in San Diego. I worked there for 16 months or something. Then my former classmate and roommate, he was working in a company in Burbank that made aircraft landing gears. My wife is pretty good, and she wanted to come to this area, and her cousin lived in Arlington, and she was from Oklahoma. So there were people from Bell Helicopter interviewing at the airport. She said, go over there. So that's where I went. And I talked to them, and they got impressed with my qualifications. That gave me a job in 1972 or something like that. And I stayed there for 30 years. And I had about 35 engineers that worked for me. at Bell Helicopter. And I always wondered about the president, what kind of office they have, where do they live, where do they sit, that kind of stuff. So one day, there was a function going on in Fort Worth, and then everybody left, and then the president was all by himself. So I went to him, and I said, I always like to wonder what your office look like. Okay. He said, why don't you call my secretary tomorrow and tell her that she told me to come see him. I said, okay. And that turned out to be a big commotion. Your immediate supervisors, the vice president, or the group engineers, what the heck is going on? Why is he going there? Did we do anything wrong? So everybody's thinking about that, So he meets me and I told him, and I said, I didn't imagine. I thought his room was like a mansion. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like a regular office, that kind of stuff. And I said, I said, I don't know what to say. I did not know what the president looked like. He says, I put my pants one leg at a time. I said, all of a sudden the word came. I said, I thought you never take your pants off. I became good friends with him. And, I got some promotions on that account, because they found out that I'm a go-getter. It's been a wonderful life, and that I worked with Henry Wilson, and he was sitting right next to that kind of stuff for 30 years. And just going off there, and then knowing Henry, we got an idea to start a soccer association over here. At that time, the soccer was getting started in high school, and they had all the football coaches. They did not know too much about that. And I knew the head guy, Hoot Smith, that was his name. He was athletic director. So he said, why don't you help these coaches? So I helped those coaches, the best way I can. I used to sit right next to Henry's office right there. Then he said, why don't we start a tournament over here? By the way, Dave Bowie was a very good friend of mine, and we formed and with his help, he and my wife played a good role starting a soccer association over here. But Dave Bowie was the one that got all the finances, a little bit, that kind of stuff. So I've been friends with Dave Bowie and Bill McClendon, who was another councilman. And then my wife, she went to the city. She said, I want you to start the soccer association. She said, well, we put a request for bond for $8 million, and it failed. She said, do it again. She says, we can't do that because you'll be insulting the intelligence of the people. She says, what intelligence? They should not have turned it down in the first place. So they put it there again. She forced them to do it. And it passed. Once it got passed, then people got to know that she is a go-getter. Now, if you look on that side over there, there is a soccer field over there, and there is a baseball field over there, and you would see her name on the board over there, Joanne Shori. That field, and then on Precinct Line, there's a big fitness center over there. And then they had meetings at our house to form a soccer association. We used to go to Euless and they would stack up their teams. We would not know how they were doing it. So they said, we want to have our own association. So we formed it called HUSA. So that was Dave Bowie and my wife, and they were the two people that worked very hard. And Dave Bowie got all the finances, because at that time, he was good at that. And then once he had the soccer association, and I was coaching my sons, that's how I got involved. And then they come back, like you asked me, how do you get involved? I didn't come up with some formula that construct. It was a need, and I was able to fill that need. And there were a lot of other people. That Henry, he coached soccer over there. When they formed the soccer association, there were lots of meetings they were having at our house. So I was not allowed to. The Dave Bowie was part of that group. I was not allowed to sit with them. She said, well, you sit over there and you come when I call you. So, I never participated where she was. I let her do that kind of thing right there. City of Hearst picks one person each year. She was picked the Citizen of the Year. They call her Joan, so. Well, it was Joanne, but she left N out, so it became Joan. I refereed, I coached, and I helped the coaches and that kind of stuff. There was a big organization, the Optimist Club. We meet at the cafeteria. I don't know the name of it, just moved from here to somewhere else. With my knowledge of the soccer there, so I was, with the help of Henry and Dave Bowie, we did all those kind of things, for a long time. It was kind of wonderful, and coaching and refereeing. And there was a vacancy for the to be president of the Optimist Club. I threw my name in the hat, and they took a vote, and I became president. Henry, and there were a couple of attorneys in there. He said that since you are not a native Texan, you cannot become a president of the Optimist Club. It made me mad. I mean, really mad. I'm not talking about little mad, I won to be president through the election and everything. Then I come there to eat, and he gives me the news that, and he was the one that helped me, and I couldn't figure out what, so he had a little cocky scheme, that kind of stuff. He played a little trick on me there, and they had a big kick out of it. It's a wonderful place to live. You can do anything you want. My wife, from no place, she started the soccer association. She didn't do that all by herself. That she had a friend like Dave Bowie, and you can get involved with the police. You can get involved. We were all part of the police department, the fire department, you name it, we were part of it. I couldn't get admission in engineering school in India, because if you did not know somebody very influential, all the seats in the engineering school are filled, and that's how I ended up over here. So it's a blessing. I call it a blessing in disguise. And that's what happened. Things just happened. I didn't plan it that way. Somebody helped me. So from a little boy that walked to the town and see the choo-choo train first time, I ended up coming to San Francisco first time, New York, Rome, here, and it's a journey. I didn't plan that way, but my dad, coming back to my dad, he instilled in me that what you start, you finish. And that had stayed with me, and that is the recipe. If somebody asks me, what is the recipe of my success. He planted a seed in me that when you get it done, you get it started, you finish it. And don't brag about that. That was another thing. He said, you do it, but don't beat a drum about that. So I'm the luckiest person on the earth. I didn't plan it that way. It just happened.